Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and for me sitting in New Zealand, good night because it's around 11 o'clock at night and I'm going to record my next video. Luckily for you, whom I'm looking at and who are looking at me, it's in English. So you have to bear with me if I glitch somewhere in expressing my thoughts to you. What I have to talk to you today is the non-communicable diseases pandemic. That means kind of epidemic in almost every country of the world. Started from the first world and it's gone to second and third world now. And ultimately it will come back to first world again. And we are still spending money and time on the patchwork, doing surgeries, putting stents in, doing bypasses, trying to give rehabilitation, etc., etc. We have given practically, for all practical purposes, no extra funding or effort towards preventing all these diseases. Now, I'm going to talk about cycle of life in medical terms for everyone to understand. And the reason is that you all know, so do I. I took 68 years to understand it. I don't know if you all really know it. That in today's world, as of today and now, this very second, our body is the most perfect machine on earth. I don't know about other places. Certainly in human beings, as of today, it's the most perfect machine. I'll give you a simple example. The size of an eye is only this much. And it can see things, send messages to the brain. Brain can analyze those messages, send back the information to eye as well as to the body. For example, if there was a bullet coming towards me now, I would just go this way or that way. So that fraction of a second, a millionth of a second, it takes for the brain to analyze the message that goes through the eye. We need such a camera. We took about 1 hour to adjust this camera only to record better. And we are very sure this is not the best recording on earth. It could be the best recording for me, for us today, for you today, but it's not the best recording technically. So that camera, much bigger than the eye, much expensive than the eye. We don't care about the eye. Anyway, let's go further. A kidney is only this size. A heart is only this size. A kidney filters all the blood throughout the day, 24/7 lifetime. And so does heart pump the blood 24/7 lifetime to every other organ of the body. And the kidney, for example, takes urea away, takes uric acid away, takes extra salt away, saves salt when there is less salt, takes extra potassium away, extra calcium away, etc., etc. And it does automatically without us knowing it. Now, without us knowing it is where I come. And that's what I want to do and tell everyone on earth one day. I think I've got only few calculated days, 365 multiplied by 5. That's the number of days I've got to tell you all how to live fit and healthy till death. And that is not less than 100 years. Has to be little more than 100 years. Unless accidents take place. Even that shouldn't happen. Nevertheless, the machine as of today has taken about 600 million years to evolve. Evolution took about 600 million years from a single cell to become multicellular, to become multi-organ, to become multi-systems, and ultimately to become a human body, which is a combination of all these. Just for the purpose of showing you the expansion, the expanse of the body, I would like to tell you that the body is made up of more than 100 trillion cells. Millions to billions to trillions of cells make one organ, and there are so many organs. And so many organs get together, do similar function to become a system, and so many systems work together to become a human body. The beauty here is that every single cell has come out of the same single cell. It was half ovum and half sperm, and they formed half the cell from the ovary, half the sperm cell got together to become a new cell that duplicated, again duplicated, from 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64, 128, and so on and so forth. The same cell has become brain cell, the same cell has become bone cell, the same cell has become kidney cell, liver cell, heart cell, cell of the eyes, cell of the ear, just one cell. And there are 100 trillion cells. Each cell talks to each other every fraction of a second of the day for whole of their lifetime. And we think we are the greatest doers. We do this, we do that, we have so many strategies. We are such fools, we don't even know about our body and how complex it is and how it functions. But we should know at least the principles. We are quite a free world these days, scientific world these days, but nobody knows what it wants to see. We are a bunch of scientists are running around here and there without knowing what do we want to find out. We are a big jigsaw puzzle. We don't know what's the jigsaw puzzle we are going to. Sorry for my wording, sometimes I forget about the words. So what are we going to achieve? If we knew the picture is of an elephant, then we would know the value of a tail, the value of the big legs, the value of the big trunk, or the teeth. But if we don't know that we are searching for going to make an elephant out of the jigsaw puzzle pieces, we will be left nowhere and we can't do anything. That's why someone said, if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't really matter what road do you take. That means you have to know to achieve it. You can't just keep on doing things and luckily you fall into a place that, who were those, the invention of penicillin by mistake. A fungus was growing on the bread and the scientist was working and the breadcrumb fell onto the petri dish where the bacteria were growing and the bacteria stopped growing wherever the breadcrumbs were there with fungus. That is accidental. The guy was not trying to find out the penicillin drug as such, but he found it. That never happens all the time. It's sometimes. And that's kind of, you may call it luck or chance or whatever. But we just keep on searching without knowing what we are searching for. And I'm going to tell you what we are searching for is the cycle of life that we have to understand. Once we understand that, then every bit of science fits well into that cycle of life. Whether it was a Big Bang, whether it is a continuous ongoing process of Big Bangs, whether it is one universe or so many universes, but they are all infinite and mega. If infinite universe is there, then within that universe, so many Big Bangs are occurring every single moment, every single day, every single month, every single year. It's not that we were just born out of Big Bang. Big Bangs are happening all the time. That's what logic says. And Big Bang is not the beginning. Of course, Big Bang is the beginning after the end. So there must have been a Big Bang before, after the end, a Big Bang again, and the end and a Big Bang again, or could be other ways and means with which life came into being. We have to know only the principles, and we should not be very proud of saying we are better, healthier people, even if there is a single person who cannot access health services in any which country. You call it England, America, Germany, France, Scandinavian countries, or New Zealand or Australia. If one child is not getting good service, health service, or is not keeping one good health, we cannot be proud of our achievements. Because it's a process that we have to follow, and we have to strive for the best possible results. Until that happens, we cannot just sleep at one place and enjoy our life. We have done our job. By the way, that's just a political stuff. Forget about it. Big Bang, and then everything started separating. Started from a dot and expanding. And that became universe as we see today. As far as our universe is concerned, the calculations are around 13.6 billion years ago. There was a Big Bang, and half of the life is gone. So about 7 billion years have already passed, and another 7 billions will pass by the time we were formed. So Earth was formed around 6.4 billion years ago. There was one single cell. Then ultimately it became 2 cells, then 4 cells, and then multi-cells. And that's how our body was formed in the end. Life started as plants initially, and then we also started. Now we were, let's say, born from the sun, or exactly from the thing that formed the sun, that part of that Big Bang, that globe, like many other suns, many other stars, we were formed. So we are basically formed from the stardust, and we still have the essential particles of the stardust in us, whether you call it carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, calcium, whatever you may call it. But they are all parts of the same stardust which formed the sun, which formed the earth, which formed the moon, and every other place. But the situation on earth, because of its geographical presence, because of its presence near the sun or away from the sun in a particular stage where it was neither too hot nor too cold for the life to develop and survive, we developed. Let's say the sun was the thing that gave birth to us, or the galaxy was the father that gave birth to us. Now they not only gave birth to us, but every single day we have to live by taking some fuel for energy from the same sun, from the same father, from the same universe. But we are not capable. As animals, human beings are not capable. I said as animals, actually worse than animals, but forget it. As animals, we do not get direct energy from the sun as our fuel. That means we cannot produce food out of solar energy. Only plants can do that, and they can do that through the process called photosynthesis. Most of you know, most of you have studied, or most of you have children who are studying photosynthesis. There is something called chlorophyll, which is the green of the leaves, or any other color. Quite a few colors are there. But green is the main color which produces chlorophyll, and chloroplast is the cell inside which chlorophyll is there. The solar ray, solar energy, solar power that comes to the leaf strikes that chloroplast, and inside the chloroplast, whatever water is there gets broken down. Water means hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen. H2O. 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom. They are stuck together because of energy of the solar system, because of the sun energy, which has joined H and O. When it breaks, chloroplasts and chlorophyll inside, in the presence of solar energy, break that water. So H and O separate. The moment they separate, their bonds break. Once their bonds break, energy is released. And that energy is used for the next step, which I'll talk about. Once the things break, oxygen is released. H and O goes out. Now H and the energy that is released from the breakdown of water in the leaf then goes into the second cycle, which is called Calvin cycle, in which the carbon dioxide from the air, which is there inside the leaf, breaks down and meets hydrogen. So it becomes C6H12O6. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and more oxygen is released. How the life cycle works is that sun gave birth to us, or the galaxy gave birth to us all, and we are helping each other to survive every day and getting energy from this sun. Animals also and plants also. But animals are getting ultimately energy from either plants or those animals that eat plants, or those animals that eat animals. So then the cycle is going towards the completion. So what happens? C6H12O6 becomes a living molecule, which is called a biological molecule. It was inanimate before. It was just carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, water, carbon dioxide. Kind of non-living, which we say non-living. Actually, they are all living. But it's another story. We'll talk about it sometimes later. Now, C6H12O6 is called carbohydrate, or in simple words, sugar. Sugar doesn't mean the sweet sugar. Sugar means carbohydrates. They can be complex, simpler, and simple. The most simple is like glucose. Simpler are like maltose, fructose. So they are disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polysaccharides. And polysaccharides are chains. And those chains are the complex carbohydrates. Now, when we eat those, the human body has got only one function. Forgive me if you are religious people and you have different faiths, that's fine. It doesn't matter. What matters is that body physically has got only one purpose: to find the food, to eat the food, to digest or cook the food. Digestion and cooking are one and the same thing. Find the food, eat the food, digest the food or cook the food, absorb the food, and utilize it. Utilize it for growth and development. A child has to grow and develop and then fall down. For growth and development and day-to-day work. And day-to-day work means to find the food again. This was the total cycle. Find the food, eat the food, digest or cook the food, absorb the food, and then utilize the food to find more food again. It's a cycle. Goes on and on. The nature has got one greatest quality, which at least we don't have. Nature recycles practically anything and everything it overproduces or it has to throw away. It tries to use it as much of it as possible. At least 100 times more than what we do. I would say 1,000 times, but at least 100 times. That means if you're cooking food on a heater, the flame, the blue of the flame of the hydrocarbons, like the gas we burn, burns at 1960 degrees centigrade. And we cook the food only at 100 degrees centigrade because at 100 degrees the water boils and evaporates. So you can't burn it. If you cook your food at 1960 degrees centigrade, it will burn kind of instantaneously. But we cook in water and ultimately water boils. So out of 1960 degrees centigrade which we spend for cooking, we use only 100 degrees centigrade. How much wastage? 1860 degrees centigrade. Can you believe it? 20 times wastage from what we utilize. Where does this wastage go? It has to go to the atmosphere. So we burn the fossil fuel or any fuel and it goes to the atmosphere and pollutes the atmosphere or makes changes into the atmosphere. And 7 billion people doing that. You just imagine how much it is per day. This is the kind of society we have developed where we waste 20 times more than normal. Now, when we overspend 20 times more, we have to earn money for that. You have to pay for the gas and living and electricity and everything. For that, you keep on working overtime. To work, you have to run here and there. To run, you have to have scooter, motorcycle, car, train, aeroplanes, etc., etc. So we are burning fuel to earn more money for the waste of fuel that we have done. The life's purpose was to create plants, more plants, live happily, eat those plants, only cut the plants to the extent you want to eat, not to hoard, not to sell them, not to make a palace. You had to live in a room. And happily means all the time working, enjoying, sleeping, resting, working, enjoying, sleeping, resting, working, enjoying, sleeping, resting. End of the story. But what we did is holding, sometimes for prestige, sometimes for power, sometimes for stupidity, and sometimes for ego, satisfaction. Anyway, let's get out of it. So the cycle of life, what it does is body, if you eat and you had not cooked the food, because if you had eaten and then cooked, you have got plenty cooks inside, millions and billions of cooks. And you've got saliva, and you've got teeth, you've got tongue, you've got acid in the stomach, you've got liver juices, you've got pancreatic juices, you've got intestinal juices. all are sophisticated cooks, the best cooks you ever can think about. And they're all working 24/7 for your lifetime without asking even for a thank you from you. You will never thank them because you don't know. The life is so strange that we are stuck in this monetary business so badly that we don't think that air is so important. Continuous water supply is so important. Environment is so important. We are nothing without these things. Anyway, so what we do is the food goes in, the temperature of the food has to come up to 37 degrees centigrade, not 1960 degrees like the heater. 37 degrees, hence the cooking will take place at least 3 times more, by taking 3 times more time. For example, 37 degrees and that was 100 degrees. Wastage was 1860 degrees, but utilization was 100. So we need, let's say, 100, but we have got 37, so we have to work 3 times more. So the raw food which you take will take at least 3.5 hours to 72 hours to get cooked fully and absorbed. 3.5 to 72 hours. Average at least 12 to 24 hours. If you pre-cook the food, nobody has to work. Teeth don't have to work much. Saliva doesn't have to work much. Acid doesn't have to do much job. Most of the digestion is done in a pot, in a kitchen. Because they don't have to work, so whatever energy they had to spend, which by the way is from anywhere for whole day, 24 hours, for the digestion and absorption is about 1,000 calories to 2,000 calories. 1,000 calories. So we are cooking that outside without using our calories, and we think we are very intelligent because we are saving calories, saving obesity, saving fatty liver, saving diabetes, saving hypertension, and everything for our body in the end. All the non-communicable diseases, including mental illness, as a consequence of that. So once there is pollution, see, what happens is that the food goes into our body and has to be utilized for growth and development. Not only that, the food has also to be utilized for day-to-day activity and to get energy out of it. For that to happen, the body systems have to function normally. And body symptoms for all of us mean one major thing. That's brain or nervous system and hormonal system. These two systems. Let's say if a cheetah or a tiger comes running to me now, I'll quickly run. That quick decision to run is done through the nervous system. But if the cheetah keeps on coming behind me, then ultimately the hormonal system takes over. I'll continue with started. Okay, so what I was saying was that there are two systems which control the whole body most of the time. One is the nervous system and one is the hormonal system. Nervous system for quick actions as well as for prolonged actions through their memory, etc. And hormonal system for prolonged action or later stage action to take over the immediate actions of the nervous system. So if somebody comes to kill me and I get sweating, so that's the hormonal system takes over the nervous system function. For these two things to function, for nervous system to function normally, calcium channel is involved. Calcium channel. At the nerve endings, at each nerve cell endings, calcium is released or taken up. That is the calcium channel. It's not the sodium channel. And calcium channel is controlled by vitamin D. Now, second thing was hormonal system. Formation of hormones is majorly controlled and regulated by vitamin D. Vitamin D it forms the hormones, especially helps formation of progesterone from the same precursor of the cholesterol, which is 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is through the sun ray again controls the production of vitamin D. And once vitamin D is produced, that helps all hormones to regulate well and to act with each other's permission and in harmony. Particularly, the hormone that is required to produce energy, and that is burning of the sugar, and that is called insulin. Vitamin D controls the production of insulin as well as utilization of insulin in the muscle cells and other places where it can, but muscle cells are the major ones. So see the cycle of life. Sun has produced energy through the plants to give us every day, and to utilize that energy, the sun gives us vitamin D directly. And the function of the body was to find food, means you go out in the field, either you produce food or find food. Go into the field and find food. And while you go into the field, the sun gives solar rays that go into your skin, converts the second last stage of cholesterol formation, which is 7-dehydrocholesterol, to convert that 7-dehydrocholesterol into cholecalciferol. Cholecalciferol is vitamin D3. And what do? We've stopped going out into the sun. We are using sunscreens. Of course we have to, because we have created so much pollution, or ozone layer, or whatever you may call, end result of the misuse of our, I would say, the fake, the incomplete, the non-complete scientific knowledge. The day somebody says cholesterol is bad, we go all over cholesterol is bad. One day somebody says, no, the cholesterol is not bad, we follow that. It keeps on changing. I have yet to see a research till today which has stood the test of time. Every research has been superseded by the next research or the next to next research. And if something is not, that will be eventually. Because we are just a tiny speck trying to find out about the totality or the universe or the mega universe or the universes of universe. And we are just a speck within that universe. We have no power to get out of the universe, which is infinite. If it is infinite, there is no boundary. If there is no boundary, we can't get out. So a tiny speck is thinking, I will understand whole of the universe, and I'll look at it objectively, as if coming out of the universe and then taking a photo and understanding it. Stupidity, sheer stupidity, impossible. Impossible for my red blood cell to come out of me, look at me, and then say this was the universe I was living in. This is the kind of the universe. Can't understand. However, you can deduct. You can put a logical thought into it, which is not a bad idea. But ultimately, we should know our basics. Basics are that sun is controlling us by giving us fuel for day-to-day work and for growth and development, and also giving us vitamin D to look after our nervous system, to control the calcium channel, as well as to control the hormones. And that becomes a full cycle no matter what we do. If we do it wrong without understanding this total cycle, then we are going to suffer. In fact, we are suffering today. Unless you eat raw food, then cook it inside, then absorb it. That means let every organ of your body, which took about 0.6 billion years to evolve, utilize the capabilities and the development or the evolutionary development of our body to look after itself. Only body will look after itself. You and I can't. You and I can do only one thing, to live in harmony with what the body wants to do. And for that, you got to understand the cycle of life. Nothing is in our control except the stupidity through education. And education doesn't mean, oh, somebody said this, so we are doing that. No. Education means the broad knowledge first, cycle of life first, where we stand in this totality first, and then you go forwards. I'll keep in touch with you. I'll keep talking to you. I love you guys, and I wish I could make a difference one day. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever. Namaste. Sat Sri Akal. Malo Lilay. Kia ora. Kia ora na tato kato kato. Bye-bye.